Every once in a while, something emerges in the synth ecosystem that is truly different. And the Steampipe by Erica Synth and 112 dB is one of those unique instruments. This is a true physical modeling synth with no conventional oscillators to generate sound. Instead, the Steampipe utilizes a supercharged Kepler-Strong algorithm to imitate the way sound is created in wind and string instruments. Using this process, Steampipe can produce realistic and organic emulations of real instruments such as flutes, bowed or plucked strings, organs, and brass instruments. But the detailed controls over multiple physical modeling parameters, helped by the beautiful sounding Reverberator module, also make it possible to create otherworldly ambient textures, powerful basses, and epic leads. Additionally, Steampipe is MP ready, so you'll be able to unleash it with your favorite controller, but it is also optimized to work with MIDI wind controllers, making it a great choice for woodwind and brass players. There's a lot more to Steampipe, and we'll get to all of it in this video, but first, let's hear it in action. Let's start with a brief overview of the hardware. The build of the unit feels really sturdy with a metal enclosure held between two solid wood panels, and it features large spot encoders for parameter controls. Steampipe has a bright backlit LCD screen and two push encoders used for preset selection, MIDI mapping, and navigating the different menus. The LCD screen also offers a scope mode that lets you visualize the waveform of your patch. As far as connectivity goes, the synth has an audio input to trigger the unit using external audio signals, a sustain pedal input, USB for MIDI, data transfer and backup, 5-pin MIDI in, out and through, as well as a headphone out and a stereo output. Now let's take a quick look at the front panel. Unlike most synths, the Steampipe doesn't have a linear signal path. Instead, it works by generating a click or noise or using an external audio signal and sending it into a feedback loop that can be manipulated through multiple contact points and is mapped so that it can be played chromatically. The Steampipe can be divided into four main modules. One, the steam section, or the exciter, which is basically the sound generator of the synth. Two, the pipe section, which simulates the way sound is amplified by different acoustic instruments. 3, the reverb module, and 4, the LFO section with its 5 independent LFOs. Let's start by looking at the steam section, aka the sound generator. The Steampipe can generate either a click or white noise, or can be set to receive external audio through the unit's audio input, something we'll get back to a bit later in the video. The top row of knobs is a traditional ADSR envelope with key tracking and velocity controls, so nothing too out of the ordinary there. The generator also features a low-pass filter with a cutoff and resonance controls that can be switched from a 1 to 2-pole configurations and can be pushed to self-oscillation. That's it for the Steam. Now let's move on to the pipe section. The pipe section is more complex and a bit harder to wrap your mind around since the behavior of the knobs varies widely from one patch to another, and you'll find that the same knob can have a drastic impact on one patch and almost no effect at all on another. After coming out of the Steam section, the signal goes through the delay box, into the saturator, then through the filter and ends up in the feedback section. And even though it's last in the signal path, I'll start with the feedback box because it's there that the initial magic happens. Increasing the decay will turn the exciter signal into playable sounds, and increasing the release will let the sound ring out. You can hear it well with this harp-like patch I created. When I increase the release of the feedback, it translates as increasing the resonance of the string. With my harp patch, the push knob has almost no effect at all. But with this flute patch, increasing push will start to make the pipe oscillate, transforming the sound from just a stream of air to a full flute sound. And this is how you can create lifelike wind instrument sounds by playing on those controls to literally breathe life into the patch. Now let's move back to the delay box. The first two knobs control the general tuning of the synth, with a coarse knob that affects the tuning in half steps and a fine knob for precise adjustments. Changing parameters in the delay filter and feedback module sometimes affects the global tuning of the unit, which can be mitigated by these knobs, and the tune button lets you access the internal tuner of the synth. The harmonics knob controls the stiffness of the resonator body. At 0, it will result in a more dense and heavy type of sound. All the way up, the patch will sound much thinner. With most patches, the game is ready to find a sweet spot between both. The split button splits the delay box and introduces a second delay, which you can control using the split point knob. This will alter the sound quite drastically, both in terms of pitch and timbre. Lastly, the polarity of the delay can be inverted to introduce odd harmonics, resulting in a hollower sound, turning this harp patch into a marimba sounding preset. Moving on to the saturator, which can be dialed from soft to hard clipping, and the symmetry of the saturation can be adjusted as well to add some crunch to the sound. The Steampipe has two symmetry modes, A and B. Mode A uses asymmetrical wave shaping to add even harmonics, and Mode B phase shifting, resulting in two very different flavors of distortion. The next thing we'll take a look at, and maybe one of the most intriguing features of the Steampipe, is the filter bank at the bottom left. Now these work of course as traditional high and low pass filters, but they take on a whole new dimension with physical modeling synthesis. Let's for example take this patch here. As you can hear, the filter is still filtering out the lows, but in the process, it's also affecting the pitch and the timbre of the preset, creating this kind of overblown effect. Exploring the filters can lead to some really fun sound discoveries. For instance, I was able to create this eerie soundscape by playing a single note, adding a ton of reverb, and tweaking the filters to generate overtones. The voice module is pretty straightforward and lets you switch the Steampipe from mono to unison and lastly to polyphonic mode, taking advantage of the 8 voices of polyphony of the synth. The drift knob detunes the voices for powerful leads and textural polyphonic patches, and the glide knob works as expected, controlling the glide time between notes. The Steampipe also features 5 distinct LFOs with adjustable delays that can be assigned to a wide range of destinations through the LFO submenu. Last but not least, we'll take a look at the Reverberator module of the Steampipe. The Reverberator is an amazing sounding reverb which can be set from teeny tiny to abysmal and features bass and treble equalization to control the muddiness or brightness of the reverb. The mix amount lets you dial in the dry-wet signal ratio precisely, and the spin amount sets the level of detuning of the reverb, allowing for a thinner or richer sound, and then the spread knob handles the width of the reverb. As I mentioned earlier, the Steampipe works really well with breath controllers, making it ideal to play flute sounds but also otherworldly synth leads. And it is also MP compatible, so you can use it with your favorite controller. Here is how it can sound with the push-free, for instance. The unit lets you create and save profiles for different controllers with different CC assignments so that you can easily recall them later through the MIDI controller submenu. Once that is done, you can head to the MIDI mod submenu to set sources and destinations for the CCs of your choice, making it possible to fully customize the presets or your own patches and render them as lifelike instruments or real instruments on steroids if that's what you're going for. Before we wrap up, I just want to take a second to show you how the Steampipe can be triggered using the external audio input. To demo this to you, I have the LXR digital drum synth, which I'm going to use as my trigger. So here's how the drum synth sounds on its own. And now here it is triggering the Steampipe. Using a drum synth is a great way to create sequenced-like patches, but using other types of instruments or even the voice can also result in the creation of completely new and unexpected sounds. And there you have it. This completes our brief tour of the Steampipe by Erica Synth and 112 dB, and I really had a blast with this very fun but also challenging synth. It's definitely unlike anything I've ever tried, but I really enjoyed getting a taste of physical modeling synthesis with this very hands-on approach. The versatility of the Steampipe, both in terms of the sounds it can produce and the range of controllers it's compatible with, makes it a very powerful music creation tool, and though I feel I only scratched the surface, I think sonic explorers will find it to be an endless source of inspiration, both on stage and in the studio. Let me know your thoughts about the Steampipe in the comment section below. This was Gabe with B&H, and I'll see you next time.